Like most mistakes in life and lessons, the lesson of how to resolve an argument was learned difficultly. Maybe it was day, maybe it was night. You're sitting at a park bench, the searing sun on your face, or maybe you were under the warm caress of an umbrella when the rain was dripping hard, or maybe you were in your office, oblivious to everything all. There's somebody with you, maybe a spouse, a family member, or maybe a friend. There's a lump in your throat. You're in an argument. You feel like you need to speak. There's no delay. So your mind begins working. It forms words from every negative thing. Arguments, scoldings, insults. So it collages it into something horrible, frankly. And maybe it would have been better if you've never said anything, because when your mouth opened that day, that was the last rusty nail in the coffin, because that day you ruined your relationship you had with somebody. That day was the day you got called into HR, and that day was the day you ruined a friendship. Whatever it is, that argument cost you something. But let's rewind a bit. How hard is it to find something that we as a group of people in this room here can completely agree on? Let's try this. Who here likes Disney? Okay. Who here liked the Olympics last year? And who here likes pineapple on pizza? As you can see, this room has made a verdict. The verdict is, we can't find a verdict. We as a group of people cannot find anything that we can completely agree on. And thus, this is disagreement. And disagreement is what leads to arguments. But wait, we're all mature adults here. Weren't arguments just those little things that you and your siblings or your friends would fight for a bit, and then it would be resolved a few days later? Wait, well, no. Because according to statistics, 57.7% of divorces are caused by arguments. 16% of workplace firings are caused by arguments. And most concerningly of all, 22% of all homicides in the world were reported to be related to arguments. And this is backed by the United States National Library of Medicine and the Council on Criminal Justice. So now that we know the consequences and the causes of arguments, what's the root of all this? What's the root of all disagreement? Perspective. Perspective is kind of like your glasses. They're how you see the world. And even if your glasses are made by the same people, they have different colors, different magnifications, lenses, and scars. And so, since our perspectives can't be exactly the same, and our glasses aren't the same, frankly, we must find a way to argue and disagree without hurting each other. And thus comes to something I call the judge, disengage, and response system. It starts at the root, judging. Parents, I think you here have all said to your children at least once, don't judge a book by its cover. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think in some cases, judging somebody by their facial expressions or body language might be just a good idea. For example, if you're in an argument with a friend who's crying, screaming, do you really think it's a good idea to shout back? No. And judging isn't just a one-stop shop. It's a constant process. You can't just look at somebody for one moment and decide what they've been feeling for the next 30 minutes. Arguments evolve, and so does people's feelings. And so, judge constantly at least until you're out of that conversation. But wait, what if we decided that this person has high emotions? What if we decided that we can't try talking to them, we can't try shouting back? Well, that's the next part, disengaging. Disengaging, according to Oxford Dictionary, is removing something from an area of conflict. We're removing ourselves from the argument as fast as possible, if best. It's like a fire. You wouldn't try reasoning with a fire. You wouldn't try talking to it in a logical conversation. We as humans, when we're with high emotions, we're like that fire. The best thing you can do is to move away and let it settle. So I'm not saying that you should book your next plane ticket to Timbuktu and move away forever. No. I'm saying that it might be a good idea to leave things to settle, because some arguments or some discussions are better left for tomorrow rather than today. But wait, what if that argument you've been dreading, what if that conversation that you feared for months on end is finally today? And that's where the response phase comes in. Responding or discussing is kind of like the opposite of a debate. I think you've all been in one, right? In debates, your debate leaders will all go, "Oh, please never use anything personal. Please don't get your emotions mixed up in this." In discussion and response, you're free to use your emotions. I'd say you need more emotions than logic. I'm not saying throw out all your logic, but still, it's very important that you express how you feel. To tell the truth, but to not be blunt about it. An argument is kind of like the woods. There's a river that runs down and it splits the woods into two. On the other side is the other person, and on this side, it's you. Your connection with that person is like a bridge. The argument causes the bridge to burn down. And after the fire that burnt the bridge has settled, the only way to rebuild the bridge is to stand on the rubble and then start building it back from there. That's why the easiest way to respond and discuss is to connect your perspectives, to let them see in your view, in your glasses. Because there's nothing more difficult than trying to reason with someone who only wants to create more space between you two. Don't let them make differences between you two. The closer you are to each other, the better. And then, as you stand on the rubble of the bridge and you start rebuilding the connection that was lost through the argument, I would like to leave you with a quote. A long-dead French moralist, Joseph Joubert, once stated, "The aim of a discussion or an argument should not be victory. It should be progress." Thank you very much.